Let me go and start
A little dry
recording.
shampoo and a little quick curling iron.
It looks good. It looks really good. All right, you guys, before we get into the meat of the call, I wanted to quickly go over, you guys were trying to do the 21-day fix today live. Obviously, there were some hang-ups. There were some glitches. Obviously, it just didn't work. So what they're doing is filming ahead of time. It's still real time. It's just not going to be live. So they're already going to be up and ready for you in the morning. So from tomorrow, 21-day fix upper is going to be already ready for you. So it's not going to be live anymore because obviously we tend to crash the internet. I don't know why, but we tend to do that with our company because we get so excited. And I guess a bazillion people try to get up on the internet.
And we're just so damn good.
I know. Oh my gosh. I'm loving this. It's so awesome. So that, and then there's another quick announcement that was posted in the round table. The Vegan Recover launch date is May 20th. So that will be, well, May 20th. So just keep that in mind. We've tripled our forecast since we've been asking for this for a while because obviously when Energize Fruit Punch like sold out in a day or whatever it was, they're forecasting the same thing to happen with Vegan Recover. So just know they're trying to cover their bases and have plenty of that. So other than that, what else? Super weekend is this weekend. If you can get to one, get to one. And other than that, you guys, so a lot of times I ask for you guys as leaders to step up on these calls because, you know, you have things to say, you have things to share. You're here for a reason. You have a story. You know, you're on these calls for a reason, obviously, and you're doing things to change people's lives, and it's so commended. So Meredith decided she would step up tonight and share her story and all the goodness that comes along with it. And I'm so excited and inspired by you. So I'm going to just be quiet and let you have the floor.
So we've all heard the term, your mess is your message. Well, welcome to my mess. You wouldn't know by looking at me right now that, yeah, I've got this cute little top on, but underneath I still have my workout pants on. So I think we can all relate. So, you know, your life's always a mess. So where does it start and how does it move forward? Well, mine started with being born into a family of high achievers. My dad was a Rhodes Scholar, and if you're not familiar with what that is it's a scholarship that gives you 2 years to study, or as they call it over in Great Britain, read at Oxford University. And it's been awarded to people with the like of Bill Clinton, a few Canadian prime ministers. My dad was actually over there with one of the Canadian prime ministers, or turned out to be later one of the prime ministers. He had been an all-star football player, you know, a whole great big long arm resume. My mother was a Canadian champion freestyle swimmer and would have gone to the Olympics if it were not for the Second World War, because they were supposed to be in Germany. So they got canceled. So she missed that opportunity, but she was still at that level. And she was a home economics teacher. So, you know, rules and regulations for measuring out your things for your recipes and doing your dress designs correctly and following the pattern. So things were just so, mind you, it didn't help that she was a Virgo, so very much a perfectionist. So we always used to tease growing up that my mom we were going to give her one day a gold measuring stick. Because she would put the staff at Downton Abbey to shame. When she was having a dinner party, she would measure out the place settings. I swear that woman taught Martha Stewart everything she knew. So that was the type of family I was born into. And I wasn't like that. So with a brother who was very much like that too, I just kind of felt like I never really measured up. I wasn't smart enough. I didn't, at least if you equate smartness to being marks in school, which we now know isn't the case, and in what I could do. As a matter of fact, I was told when I was 14, why aren't you good at any one thing? Which is in the 14-year-old's mind, being told you're not good at anything. I was told I was a worrywart, but it was told in a way to give it a badge of honor, which we know isn't good. Now, I almost never even made it to age 14, and I don't think I've shared this before. When I was born, I required a total blood exchange because my parents' blood types weren't compatible. So I had to have solution to wipe out all of the blood that was in me, and then a full transfusion. And also later on, I'm sorry if you haven't eaten yet. This is a little bit gruesome, but my small intestines started to wrap around each other and choke each other off. So I had to have emergency surgery, because if that had continued, it would have been curtains. So I almost didn't make it. But as we know, there's a reason for getting through everything. And if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't be here sharing my story with you. You know, it's given me some interesting things, because I've always had problems with my abs and always will, but it's something that I can say, yeah, it's a problem, but I'm here, I'm good. And hopefully that can be a message that I can share with others, that even if something seems absolutely horrifying, that is something that you can overcome, and it's not going to be that detrimental in the overall outcome. So I was always very creative. I was writing poems and short stories, and I love music and singing and playing the piano. But one of my favorite places to be was out on the ice, figure skating. It was a little bit of everything. It was the music. It was the fact that I could just express myself out there and really almost lose myself out there. So imagine, to my absolute horrifying finding, that I was told that I was no longer going to be skating. But of course, back then you didn't question any choices your parents made, or you just, went along with it because they know best. They know what they want for you. It wasn't necessarily what I wanted myself, but again, you didn't question. And again, this not questioning or exploring reasons came back to haunt me again later. Sorry, I've got my notes here beside me. I was never really encouraged to personally pursue a specific career goal or to pursue anything that I was really that interested in doing for a life. Because I think since I was born in the 60s, I don't think anybody foresaw the huge leaps that were going to be coming, that you were preparing for becoming a wife and a mother, and you'd only work for a few years until that happened. So a career was not something you were prepared for. And again, something that came back to haunt me. Sorry, I can't even read my own writing here. So that's what I did, right? I worked in a soul-crushing job in a stock brokerage firm, even though I went through the study of getting all my licenses. And, but I felt I was just biding my time until I got married, which I did, and until I had children, which didn't quite happen that easily. We had an infertility assessment done, and while it was determined that I was fine, my husband wasn't, but I was the one that had to go through all the shots, the medications, the ultrasounds, and all of the stuff that went with it. And those drugs do a number on your body, let me tell you. So imagine how happy we were when we discovered we were pregnant. So 9 months later, my first son was born. And happy, right? Well, that happiness only lasted 6 months when my son died from SIDS. So back to square one. And I don't think I ever processed my grief properly. And my husband and I kind of grew apart. There was a little more bickering. Like at one point, he told me that I didn't even know how to mop the floor properly. I didn't know there was a proper way to mop a floor. And I still don't think there is. You do what works for you. So we went back through it again. Plus, we also added the adoption process. And in all of that time, my dad had also died. And he was the one who got me growing up. He was the one I got well, if you know me, my rather unique sense of humor from. And he was the one who just encouraged me in that part of it. And I think if I didn't have that gift from him, I would have become totally lost. So with more infertility treatment plus the adoption process, and that adoption process nearly fell apart within the last week of us having our tickets to go to Russia. But fortunately it didn't. Plus, I was able to give birth to my second son. So within 4 months, voila, 2 children. 1 year less 9 days apart in age. Yet the older child really needed to be treated and made feel safe, like being treated like a baby. because she had been in an institution and everything was just shove the food down them and, just get on to the next one. But fortunately, she's incredibly resilient, strong, and has grown to an absolutely beautiful young woman, very talented. And my son has grown amazingly as well, too. So again, happiness, right? Within a week of being back at work, my husband had his first of his 2 heart attacks. So here I was trying to get used to the routine of being back to work with an hour commute home and trying to see my husband as often as possible. And I felt ragged, but I didn't know what I could do about it. I was doing my best, I thought. So status quo again. And then his second massive fatal heart attack just within days of my daughter and my son turning 5 and 6, and right in front of my daughter. So there I was, absolutely devastated, absolutely not knowing what to do, really having no coping skills at all, having to do everything, having given up my work. I had lost all my licenses because I hadn't used them for so long. And I just felt lost. And then just again, one thing piled on top of each other. We were going through a diagnosis for my son of ADHD and Asperger's. And my daughter was going through bullying at school. So if I couldn't fight for myself, how could I fight for my children? And yes, I did fall apart. I found myself in hospital, being diagnosed with PTSD and anxiety disorder. Gee, I wonder where the anxiety came from and the PTSD. But the good thing about that was that I was given coping tools, and I started to find a little measure of confidence in myself. So I was starting to crawl. So I made a decision to try something that I'd always wanted to do, which was flower arranging. Now, my mother cast a large shadow in this area because she was a very successful competitive flower arranger. And again, I was afraid that nothing I would do would measure up to her standards. So I did it in a city that was about 40 minutes away from her and in a situation that she would never see them. So once I got a little bit of confidence in what I was doing, because I was getting nice compliments on my arrangements for our church, I decided to show her some pictures of what I had done. Again, it was, oh, I think you might show some talent, but you must have been watching me all those years. Again, how could I have? I was always at school when you were doing everything. But the good thing about this time is that I was able to let it kind of roll off my back a little bit. So, progress. And that's what a journey is, progress. wasn't until her death that I felt I could give myself permission to let go of that shadow and finally find myself. You know, how can you not have found yourself when you're 53 years of age? It's because you never knew who you were in the first place. And there was something that was said at her funeral to me by somebody at the end, after the service. They had come up to me and said, I really don't think anybody understands what you've really been through, do they? Because people still didn't understand Asperger's with my son. They thought, oh, you're just not disciplining him enough. You're not doing this. You're not doing that. With a child with Asperger's, anything can set them off at any minute, and it's not a question of discipline. And it was such a lifting for me that for some reason, not for some reason, but due to the stress that I had experienced and all the pressure that I had been through, I had lost my voice for almost a year. And it was about a week after my mom passed that my voice did return. So that was a literal and a figurative way of finding my starting point. And I started finally listening to myself and finding little bits of time for me. And yeah, I was the infomercial girl. I found Slim and Six on the infomercial. And I don't know, there was something about that particular program that spoke to me. I'd actually seen Insanity, and I thought, there's no way. No way on God's green earth am I going to do that. But there was something about this that really spoke to me and says, I think you can do this. And it's finally your time to do it. So do it. And I did it. Now, I still didn't have a very great confidence in what I could do. So I kind of thought I'd be lucky if I went from, if I lost 2 dress sizes. Now I'm 5'5", so a size 16 at 5'5" is looking like a Macy's Thanksgiving Day balloon. So I thought maybe I could go down to a 12 if I was lucky, probably a 14. So I bought myself a size 12 gold dress. Boy, did I surprise myself. I had to exchange that sucker for a size 10. So I'm still like going, how the heck did I do that? Well, it's because of people like you, coaches along the way, and finding a community that believes, that is proof of what we can do. So now I'm down to a size 4. Whoop, whoop. I've never been that in my entire life. I was always the chunky girl, and my mom would send me to school with half a sandwich. And then she'd wonder why I would come home with, a half a sandwich, maybe a cookie, an apple, and money to get my milk at lunch. And then she'd wonder why I would come home with a chocolate bar. We now know now that you need to feed everything over time. So it's like, I didn't even get a snack for recess. It was just my lunch. So then the idea of coaching reached me, and I thought, I still don't believe in myself, so how are others going to believe in me now? And I'm going, well, at least I get a discount. That sounded pretty good because, a single mom with 2 kids, money's a little tight. So yeah, the discount sounded good. So that's when I also found Shakeology, which again took my journey to the next level. It also helped me, I think, in my mental clarity, which has been a huge part of my journey as well. In developing my confidence, I kept thinking, I don't know, what if I'm so used to feeling like a failure, I'm probably just going to fail again. Or on the other hand, I don't know how I'm going to handle it if I'm successful. I don't know what that feels like. Quite frankly, I still don't, but I'm getting there. And it's okay for whatever time it takes, So only recently am I really finding that I'm almost there. I think I've worked on repairing relationships that I ignored, damaged with all my struggles. I've forgiven those who have, or most of those who have, I felt didn't understand me, because I know in their moment they were doing the best they could with what they knew. So they were trying to help, but in their mind, they weren't giving me that they used the tools they had, but the tools they had weren't the tools I needed. So I'm feeling a lot more confident in what I have to offer. And a lot of that is with the help from an amazing friend and personal coach. I'm not going to mention names, but I thank her so much. So what have I learned along the way? Where we start isn't where we wind up, but don't be afraid to start. Don't be afraid to dream. No matter what you've done in the past, it's okay to let that go and start thinking of something for yourself and build something for yourself. And simple steps are often the best, because those simple steps may just, you might go from just, my son went straight to walking. He didn't go through the crawling phase. So that may happen. You may have to go through the crawling phase. And that's okay, whatever your speed is. You are much more than what others say you are. Yes, those are the words that are going to sting you and get in your head. But those words are the words that they want you to be. They aren't the words that you're meant to be. You're meant to be unique and special and share your gifts with the world, as unique and special as those are. Nobody's going to be you. And you're not going to be anybody else. And that's the beautiful thing, because wouldn't it be boring if we were all the same? And just because things don't turn out the way you want them to, doesn't mean that they don't turn out to your benefit. Case in point, my mother's passing. It was, it's absolutely horrifying to think of the woman who was the matriarch, the holder on of all that is good, all that is, the family, the traditions, the Christmas dinner recipes. But it's handing to the next to tweak that for the next generation and for the way they want to do it, while still honoring where that all came from. Every ending is a new beginning. Just like every chapter in a book ends, and you can't go back and rewrite what was in the book before, you could turn that page and read the new chapter or write that new chapter and see where it takes you. It's a new chance to do something different. You are enough. You have all of the tools inside of you, even if you don't realize it. They are there. Nothing is promised. Nothing. You're going to have highs and lows. You're going to have things that you wanted that aren't going to happen. But what you get will take you someplace absolutely amazing. You don't know where that's going to be, but it will. And value yourself and others. So if we don't value ourselves, don't take care of ourselves, don't put ourselves first, and I know we've heard this all before, but it's true. If we don't value ourselves, how can we value somebody else? So I just want to say how much I love you guys. You're just an amazing, almost I've always wanted sisters. So it's some of you are most of you are little sisters to me. Heck, probably some of you I could be your mom. And I'm just about to take my 60th turn around this solar system, starting this Saturday or this Friday. And I guess one final lesson is, and I guess I'm proof of this, is you're never too old to start over again. Never, ever, ever. So don't be afraid. Don't put yourself down. Just as they say, let your freak flag fly. And who cares what kind of a hot mess you are, because others are too. And let's just become one hot mess together. So I just want to say thanks, guys. Love you.
Love you. Thank you so much. It's so funny because you're like, how much time should I take? Maybe like 5 minutes. And I'm like, to tell your story? 5 minutes? How in the world would you even tell your story in 5 minutes? So I appreciate you taking the call and just being you and sharing and inspiring and all of that. I just love you to pieces, and I just think you're a gem of a person. I just adore you. So yeah.
And I can't wait to squeeze so many of you in July.
Oh my God, I know. I'm so ready. So ready. So yes, hopefully we're all going to be there. So is Jessie or Jen on, or both of you? I can't tell because I see Jessie's name, but oh, it's both of you. Yay. I miss you. Oh my goodness.
I tried to get you to save me. We were right by your house, but Jessie only lets us stop for 5 minutes.
I saw after the fact you were in Kennesaw, and I was like, you were so close.
I said, Jessie, Natalie lives around here. We have to call her.
Oh my God. I would have been there. I would have been like,
Sorry.
That's awesome. Okay, you guys, we have to get a team picture. I'm going to do IG. So, oh, look, love it. 1, 2, 3. Beautiful. Oh my gosh. All right, you guys. So, anything else before we go? Anything? Thank you again, Meredith. Appreciate it so much. Again, so awesome. And anyone else wants to do this or co-host, or you know somebody who wants to be on or whatever, obviously, let's continue to share the goods. So, all right, I love you guys so much. Have a great rest of the week. Let's continue to blow this business up and inspire others, change lives, and all that good stuff. Hi. So adorable. All right, guys. Love you.